Arise, Bingetown. How we feeling today? It's your boy Dave, and I am joined by fellow weebs Alki and Kyle, and we are extremely excited and at the same time extremely devastated to bring you our season one finale coverage of the hit Korean webtoon anime adaptation Solo Leveling, episode 12, titled Arise, which will never not send chills down my spine whenever I hear it. But of course, this was the hype moment in the manga and in the anime that we've been so craving all this season for. This was the reveal of the class and Sung Jin Woo's destiny that lies ahead of him. It was just a beautiful episode, I thought. I'm so excited to get more content. We'll discuss the future seasons and how they're planning on releasing them, I guess, at the very end of the podcast. So stick around to hear our thoughts on that. But otherwise, I need it now. I need the whatever season two is going to be called, season one, part two. Like I need that right now. It shouldn't be too much longer of a wait, but this is where the story actually finally begins. And it's really genuinely only uphill from here, even though that's what it's been the whole season. So just what are your guys' thoughts on how they adapted the Sung Jin Woo job request episode?
Hmm. I'll take it. First of all, I want to say what a crescendo of a season, man. I think it developed so well. Or whatever it'll end up being called part one or whatever, but it was so I just seeing him grow physically and mentally was a treat. This episode was fantastic, man. The fight in this side quest, like the class announcement, all of it was like poetic almost. Everything made sense. Igris guarding the empty throne because it's his. It's
Yeah,
his throne, baby.
exactly.
And it's just so baller. Like he is a baller. The growth that he experienced just in the fight was sweet. And I'm really happy to see how this anime takes off because it seems to have a lot of steam. And I'm glad that we know about it from the webtoon. You know what I mean? Like I feel privileged.
Mm.
So that's what I have to say.
But at the same time, I'm sure you're wishing you could experience it for
Oh
with
yeah, I
fresh
was saying
eyes.
while we were watching, Dave and I watched together. I'm like, damn, I'm kind of jealous of everybody just like seeing this for the first time, but it doesn't matter. It's still so epic and yeah, Kyle, take it away.
I'm trying to find like the right words to say this, but like the thing that comes to mind is with the caveat that it's a great episode still, but like I feel like I was a little disappointed by it. It just felt like last episode was so good,
Mhm.
and it just felt like if they had found a way, like sometimes where TV shows do like extended finale episodes, or
Mhm.
if they could have done a extended episode where it was last episode and this episode like together, it
Mm.
just I don't know, like it felt like this episode, while obviously a ton of things happen and the Igris arising and him getting like like I don't know, it just like I know what was gonna happen type of deal, so like I know he's gonna arise, he's gonna get Igris to get out of it, so like I'm sure people who had no idea what's happening thought this was like really sick. It just felt like I don't want to say like administrative or like procedural, but like it felt like okay, we ticked boxes. Like I really want to see the next episode now. It didn't feel
Mhm.
so much like season finale esque, maybe
Yeah,
to
I
me.
Definitely
in
a big
the
cliffhanger.
in the intro, I did not say it was my personal favorite episode. I want to make that
Yeah,
clear because I'm kind of with you in the sense that I feel like for a finale episode, if we got both the fight of Egris and the class reveal in one
yeah,
episode, like that is a genuine finale. Whereas this, while we do get the whole fight of him, taking out the knights and it was beautifully animated, it's not like a boss fight. Like he's supposed to be kicking the shit out of these knights.
yeah.
So, you know,
That's true. That's actually a
so
good
I,
point.
I
And
understand where you're coming
yeah,
from.
we get like the way he uses the daily quest was still cool, and we get the iconic look where he's wrapped up with the two
Mhm.
daggers. Was like when they showed that shot, I was like, "Fuck yeah, this is sick." But yeah, just something about it. It not necessarily fell flat, but it feels like the content in this episode was noticeably just less maybe than the Igris fight, which
Mhm.
is honestly props to the Igris fight, obviously. But
I think I said it to Alki too. The episode ended and I immediately was just like, well, now I want to see Egris in action
yeah,
again, just reanimated. So I feel where it didn't quite hit fully. I'm still probably with you that I think episode 11, the Igris fight, was still probably my favorite. It just was so well
Flames.
done.
Yeah.
Go ahead if you have one last thing.
I think that's the theme of what we've been saying. Like, we were worried that 12 is not going to be enough, and I mean, I think that if they wanted to, they ended their plan, their storyboard to end it at this, whatever, that was accomplished. But as people who know the story, like, it leaves you wanting more. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I agree that 11 was probably better than 12, but episode 9 of Game of Thrones seasons was always better than 10 too.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, I did.
that's why my comments like when I started were about the whole season, and I know we'll probably take a moment to talk about the whole season, but I just felt like when you look at the big picture, the 12 episodes together were good.
Yeah, I think it boils down to like a victim of my own expectations because last episode was so good. Plus, like I said, I know it's gonna happen. So while it's hype to like watch Necromancer flip into Shadow Monarch into like Igris arising, like it's just I know there's so many more cool things coming
Yeah.
type of deal where like yeah, it's like I want more.
The ruler's hand was good too, though.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, let's just kick it off then. So we're just gonna pick up immediately where episode 11 ends, with Sung continuing this infinite quest essentially of where he has to beat all the minions here, but they're just never ending. Sung's tiring out, his fatigue is getting high, and he's almost entirely out of his HP and mana. This is where he kind of hits this delusional state of he starts hearing and seeing people of his past, if you even want to call it a past. I don't even know how many months it's been, but from his past, quote unquote, including the younger version himself, which they're all essentially telling him that it's just not worth pushing yourself this hard for no matter what the outcome could possibly be. And I think, again, I don't know if Kyle, if you managed to get a chance to reread these chapters, but this was something that I didn't remember from reading, but I think was also a very nice touch. I do like these extra self-questioning moments of his journey and his quest, because he is being pushed to his limits. He could realistically die here. We know that doesn't happen, but he's doing these stupid acts that he's always going against these monsters that he shouldn't have any chance of beating. But his motivation and dedication to getting so strong is just that powerful that he will put himself in those moments. So I thought it was a nice touch here. It's always it also brings a little bit more darkness into the anime rather than just it being fight after fight after fight.
Yeah, two things. One, I agree. I didn't see it coming potentially because I don't remember it happening in the webtoon, or if it was maybe a light novel only thing. And two, do you really think I feel like I'm of a mind where he couldn't actually have died here.
No. I mean, sorry, I might have. It's so hard to word it, but
yeah.
Yes, I am on your side where there was, I don't think ever a chance
it was just
for him to die
for how long he could survive in those 5 minutes. Or 10
Oh,
minutes.
so you're saying that if the sword had connected with him, it wouldn't have technically, I guess, even connected with him. It would have kind of maybe faded before it finished him off.
That was it was okay. Like you beat Igris, so like the job change request is happening now. And then how well you perform, how long you survive was the enhancement points that you get. So he survives the whole way, kills every single enemy, so he gets the max amount of bonus points, which then levels him through his necromancer job all the way to Shadow Monarch. So
I don't know if that's true because they wouldn't have given him a teleportation stone if that's true.
But this all comes into what I'm sure we'll talk about at the end with our spoiler section. But like this all just comes down to, I think the most important thing here is younger Sung Jin Woo, the evil one that's talking to him and putting him down. At the very, very end, his last comment is something along the lines of, it seems like they don't want you to die. So Kyle's saying that if he died in that moment, do you think if he died before getting teleported, he would have been still offered the necromancer class, is what I guess you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, he would have.
I think if he literally, the clock started and it
was like 5 minutes
immediately, he would have still become a necromancer and would have had just no enhancement points.
Gotcha.
He would have been
Yes.
the weakest level of necromancer.
Right. Okay. I'm with you on
Yeah.
that. Yes.
But since he
yes.
survived the entire clock they gave him and he defeated every single enemy, he got the max amount of enhancement points, which then levels him all the way to Shadow Monarch.
Right. Right. I think I'm with you on that. That he would have probably just been a regular necromancer if he had died.
That is the way that they phrased it. I just
Yeah.
am a little thrown off by the fact that he got the teleportation relic or stone or whatever.
That feels like maybe it's just like a bonus loot drop where like we know they can go to more dungeons through the system, so just having an extra one. He
Actually,
loses
to
them all
your
fucking
point,
anyway, so.
when he actually was going to choose the class, the system was like, "Are you sure you don't want to do it?" And then, like, I think they would have made him do it anyway. Like, I think it was written.
I think it was more so destiny. Maybe not written. I just think it was.
He's the fucking Lisan al-Gaib.
Yeah.
Yes, in this story, 100%, dude.
Yeah, it's true.
But like we already said, the timer for the daily quest reaches 0, so now he's transferred to the penalty zone, and
classic plot armor.
Definitely classic
That was
plot
some
armor.
plot
But I
armor.
do want to again emphasize that quote that younger Sung Jin Woo, just to all of our new listeners and new watchers, that again seems like they don't want you to die. We're not supposed to know who is they. We have heard Sung in the past talk about the system. We can probably assume that whatever the system is what young Sung is referring to himself here.
He even acknowledges it himself. Doesn't he in that moment?
Luck. He mentions luck.
Yeah, it's like sometimes is also needed, not just strength, and that's when he's immediately teleported.
Yeah.
But here he is able to recover all of his stamina, which is very good. He uses some of the potions that he's been hoarding in his bag, but he tries to recover some
potions.
He can't use the HP potions. He drinks the stamina potions, but the HP and mana potions don't work. So he's still left at like basically 1 HP, 1 mana. But that's all our guy needs to fuck up all these centipedes that from episode 3 were giving him issues. Now it's a cakewalk with no HP. As long as he's full stamina, he can take them out. And so he does, and he gains, I'm pretty sure it's around 4 levels from it. And those leveling up allows him to also recover HP and mana. So there's no worries of him going back and just getting one shot by just some random knight.
And he was like, it's pretty clutch that every time I level up, I get the boosts.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. How convenient, brother.
Yeah, nudge, nudge.
The main point of all this is that Sung hits up the shop, baby, and we got a new dagger in the Night Killer, which of course it's just the perfect dagger is just waiting for him in the shop. It's the Night Killer. So what else is he going to use? It's I think a 25% damage buff to knights.
Armored.
To
enemies.
Armored enemies. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that clarification.
No
and yeah, and he pops the ruler's hand that we know he got from Igris. He's able to move objects without touching them, and it is time to suit up, baby. It is time to head back to the dungeon. He returns the original quest, and just with that little bit of HP and mana recovery and all that stamina, he just starts popping off. He talks about, we can just all kind of talk about here how he identifies the mages, any of the scenes or moments, at least in this part before we get to the class reveal, that you want to call out or anything like that. Like for me personally, I really love the shot of him going stealth, and it's all the eyes that are just kind of floating around and they all perceive him up top, and it just looks so good. I just keep emphasizing that I think the animation genuinely has gotten noticeably better since episode 1. I was definitely hot and bothered the entire time.
I actually liked the portrayal of the mages like eye like that. I guess that's one of their abilities, because in the episode prior, I'm pretty sure they spotted him using that like behind the pillar or whatever. I just thought it's just like a cool little ability that I guess the mages have.
I think they make it more clear in the webtoon that it's like an actual like perception ability. It's not like a perception skill. Like I think they're using an ability.
Right, like it's a spell, essentially, right? That's how I understand. That's how I took it as well.
This is easily the best pre-Shadow Monarch look that he gets with the the athletic tape.
Oh
he
yeah,
tapes the daggers to both of his hands, and he's got like the torn up jacket, and he's just like double fisted. It's just literally the coolest he looks before he really starts to become who he has to become.
Akembo.
Just literally amazing. Like the shot where they gave it to us, where he's like post action, like and then ready to get right back into it. I was like,
that was panel for panel.
Let me just pause my screen, get a little screenshot in right there. Like, that's clearly the YouTube thumbnail right there.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
panel for panel, dude.
Yeah.
fire. It's
All
so
these Twitter
good.
accounts were going ape shit over like, oh, they like gave us one of the sickest panels,
Yeah.
like, and it was pretty close. I think the panel is like a hair better,
Because it
but
does, I saw the comparisons because the panel, I mean, they draw in like the system kind of in the background, whereas
Mhm,
here it's just him and the knights around him. But
mhm,
at least in terms of him and his body motion, like it's 1-to-1. Like it just
yeah,
looks so good.
Just so
yeah.
good.
The dagger throwing is also fucking
Yeah.
amazing. And then he can just ruler's hand it back to him. It's just the combination is so badass.
Yeah, man. He's just all the skills he gets. He's just a fucking beast. They try to make the huge knight too, and he stops it, and then just right
Yeah,
through
like
it,
psych.
it explodes. It's just there's nothing they could do at this point to stop him. He's
Like
just
the golem appears and he acts worried, but he destroys it with not even swinging his dagger. It's more of just like a push into the arm and it just blows up the golem. And it's like, what are you even worried about here? But he does manage to take out the 5 mages that have been opening portals that have been allowing just plain knights to enter freely. These he kind of figures it out by killing a bunch of knights. He's hasn't been gaining any XP, so he's wondering if they're just like kind of considered weapons. Deduces that, and the way that he takes out all the 5 mages is really badass. I think Alki vividly on the final 3 kills of mages or whatever, Alki vividly, it was just like that was so fucking badass, and it was.
It was audible.
he's a beast.
But here we go. So after defeating the mages and the remaining knights, the quest is complete, and Sung is receiving his class based on his performance. And I'm gonna read out everything here, so bear with me, everyone. Wherever the player goes, the angel of death follows. Whatever path the player takes, it is littered with corpses and the stench of blood remains. In addition, the player craves great power and blazed his own trail without relying on others. Its thirst for strength calls forth the ghosts that roam the valley of death. The ghosts summoned by the Shadow Army will follow the player's orders as the Shadow Army and make only way for the player.
Oh,
Your job is necromancer.
Yeah,
bro, thank you for reciting that.
Yeah, it's
That
just,
was awesome.
I got chills
So
reciting it
great.
myself. It's just because I remember reading it for the first time, and it's like you're reading the words, and you're like, where the fuck is this going? Because Sung himself is surprised, and like had Kyle had said, I think on the last podcast, we had been talking about how the show has been really pushing us towards like, okay, classes like assassin and tank and all these other ones, and so even as Sung's reading it, he's like, what is this? Like, this isn't even a
Yeah.
class that I recognize. And it's the reveal of necromancer, and it blows him away, which it blew me away. Personally, there wouldn't be any doubt in my mind of yes, hitting accept. I don't even know why he would even bother clicking no, but
I liked his little internal narration. It was just like, I'm not really a necromancer. Like, I don't want to be in the back. Like, I'm built more for an assassin speed type. And then he's like, well, it doesn't mean I can't do that. And it's like,
he
that's
gets
what
a
I
little
was.
worried too about his intelligence stat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It was good.
I remember
I think
like
that sorry, Kyle, that excerpt of the text, like I like how I know the whole thing it kind of resembles a video game. I mean, it kind of is like a video game the way they portray it. Um, it felt like a cutscene from a video game,
Mhm.
and I thought that was just really fun.
I remember finding out for the first time when he was a necromancer, and just like Dave said, being like, what in the world? Like because I can't think of anything I've read or watched where the main character has this
Right.
as like their power, their skill, their ability type thing.
You
It
took the
feels
words out of
so
my mouth.
villainous, it feels so villainous. So it was so interesting getting to that point for the first time, getting through the story and being like, whoa, where is this gonna go type of deal. So that's
Very
such
edgy.
an exciting thing.
It is important for people to remember that, yeah, Sung has been losing emotions. He has been warned by people already about the power and levels that he's reaching and how empty he will find himself with all this power. Kang was the one specifically that said,
Yeah.
standing in the darkness too long will overwhelm yourself. And so, as first time viewers and us discussing this with, trying to keep blinders on, you definitely want to think about where Song Jin-woo morally is at in like internally, just because
Yeah.
we've obviously seen the good in him, but we've also seen that level of evil and negativity come out of him at points too. So something for everyone to consider with this now being his accepted job.
Yeah, it's like he acknowledged that he acknowledged that he was losing emotions or whatever, and now in his struggle to maintain his humanity and feelings, emotions, his ability to stay in touch with himself. Now he's gonna be surrounded around death,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
nonstop.
Yeah.
It's kind of in 5 steps in the backwards, you
Yeah.
know.
And Dave's done a good job, I think, of calling out. They've been using shadows visually a lot in these episodes leading up to it, and how like his shadow connects directly into like the darkness, the
Mhm.
rest of the shadows, all that kind of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just fucking well done, man. And then the way the Shadow Army looks too is fucking sick. It's just all good. It's all good.
The glowing eyes. That was like one of my favorite um features of the webtoon was just the glowing eyes, and as they move it kind of like drags.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just the way the webtoon was drawn, and we've said it plenty, it feels animated. And then when he got the necromancer ability and his eyes like flash purple, like that was so awesome.
That was going to be what I call
That was
out. I'm pretty sure it's when it's right here when he gets revealed that he's reached the max amount of bonus points that he can, and he gets revealed that he's the Shadow Monarch, and the black and purple weaves are emanating
Mhm.
around him. His eye
Yeah.
literally goes from that light blue that we've been seeing for so long, and it becomes purple. I was just groaning and moaning. I was like, that is just we're in
My
it. We're in it. Hot and bothered, baby, the whole time.
Is it don't they return to blue though?
They do, I think, in like
Yeah.
later in the episode, but I know going forward that it will be a more meaningful purple. Like it'll be more permanently purple.
Yeah, it's his like it's as a color association. Like he will now for
Right.
the rest of the story be purple. Like when his guys have like that little dark blackish purplish look.
Mhm.
I love the way the Shadow Army look as well, Kyle.
Yeah, it's just a cool feature. I love like the mages when they're not. So I guess setting a little bit of background, he gains the two skills. One being, go ahead, Dave, because I don't remember.
The first, yeah, no problem. The first ability that he's earned is Shadow Extraction, which will allow him to convert his slain enemies into his Shadow Army that follows his every word. And then we'll cover that in a second. But the second part being Shadow Storage, which is just, I think, is the total number of shadows that he can command at a time. And I think that right now, the most that he can carry at one time is 20.
Yeah, yeah. So the Shadow Extraction is just amazing, and the way that they all look, they look so much cooler as shadows than they do
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Without
when they
a
were just
doubt.
suits of armor. Like it's just so much cooler, which I love. The mages, I think, look so sick because we saw them and they have like the darkness in their hoods when they're quote unquote alive, and then now it like glows, but they don't have a face still with the hood. It's just fucking awesome. It's
I
so
liked
cool.
as soon as he got the ability, the class, the world around him and the way he perceives it changed automatically because now he has these abilities. So he's like, oh, I'm hearing these like whimpering, like these voices.
Mhm.
And if you think about it, that was probably there from, the first episode. But now because he has these newfound abilities, it's visible to him. And I
Yeah.
just think that's really cool how the system is like working like that and actually blocking the world around him to his stats. Like that's so fucking sick. It's so sick. He's so broken. Fucking he's g-
He's
I
only just
whoever's
starting to.
whoever's listening, dude, you guys have no idea where this goes. Like I swear it gets pretty deep, and he is just like top 5, bro.
We do stay on this very generic story route for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, pretty much just after what will be the ant raid, essentially, is when things will get really confusing for the story. But like up until that point, it's just nonstop action and just growth for our boy. And I know it's hard to believe that Sung Jin Woo could possibly get any stronger, but he fucking does.
It's
And
literally exponential. It just never stops.
it's just amazing. And I'm pretty sure even here for gaining the max amount of points, like they just award him 10 more skill points. They're just like, okay, like you leveled up a bunch and you got all those skill points, but like here's an extra 10 more. So
Yeah.
certainly exponential. And
Let's glitch for you real quick.
he needs to choose a trigger word for the shadow extraction, and everyone just better get very comfortable with this word because it is going to be singing in your ears for the next 5 seasons or however many seasons. I don't think the mangaka or whatever you want to call it in Korea could have picked a better word, honestly. Like it's just so dark, it's just so badass. It's just the perfect word to describe how Sung Jin-woo is about to just go and just fuck up everyone's shit.
Get up. Imagine he said
Yeah.
that. That's like
Yeah.
my dumbass would say that shit.
Of course, they had to
Getting
pick a voice actor with like a really deep voice too, so that every time he says arise, it's got to hit like,
Drop it a couple octaves.
yeah, exactly.
That's actually funny. That's a
But
good
yeah,
point.
that word, every time I read that word in the manga, it was just chills. Seeing it here for the first time was chills.
And it preceded an epic moment every single time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every time he uses a rise is gonna be fucking badass.
Oh
It's-
yeah.
without a
We get
doubt.
our first of many right here.
Yeah.
I thought this scene was great. I thought they adapted it really, really well.
Yeah, I
The
like.
speech he gives, I like that's such a great scene because it introduces us to the concept of failure. All of us that have played Pokemon before have definitely spammed stronger Pokemon with Pokeballs. It's pretty much the same concept. So
Yeah.
I just like the idea of him just giving this rousing speech beforehand for his last try and it working out. It's just perfect.
That speech to Igris, man, is just it's so perfect. I fucking love it. He's just talking about how why are you gonna sit here and mope and try and defend this empty throne? Your king's never gonna come back to you. Why defend this person when I'm right here in front of you? Just so inspirational. And we do see that he only has 3 attempts at shadow extraction. We can basically deduce that weaker enemies pretty much are guaranteed to be arisen. But Igris here was
Arisen.
significantly stronger than everyone else, and so of course there's going to be some difficulty. But the speech that he gives just hits home for Igris and is completely inspired, and now has been successfully extracted. I really like how the cape came out. At first, I was like, "What the
Yeah.
fuck's going on with the back?" And then it just pops out the cape, and
Mhm.
The
The-
best part of the
Nice shot.
episode was when Igris kneeled.
oh yeah,
That was
Yeah.
so awesome.
get comfortable with that too, because our boy Igris is a loyal minion for
And
Sung
again,
Jin-woo.
He looks sick in the red armor. Just cooler as a shadow still.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's nice that
Yeah.
I honestly
And I
do
like how they kept the red hair.
That's just
Yep.
what I was
Is
going
that what
to
you can say?
too, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they could have easily just made that blue to fit the whole scheme, but it does kind of remind you of like Igris's roots, and like he is blood red Igris, you know.
Yeah,
And,
like I read
again-
Igris as black as a shadow for hundreds of chapters, but I knew that he was red, and that's
Yeah.
probably because of the helmet tail.
Mhm.
Sorry, Kyle, I'll cut you off, man.
You're good. It's just this is thematically makes a lot of sense for the ending of the first season where like we have the shadow army and they're kneeling in front of him, but it's just like more. I want more.
He just leveled up, bro.
I know. What a
um,
ride
the
though.
the last thing, there was one other thing I wanted to point out before covering at least one other scene. What was that exactly? I'm blanking, but I guess
Did you?
yeah, I guess that was the other thing that I'll mention. So we'll just get into that. The last thing I want to talk about is Choi's, not extraction, but just like visiting Jeju Island with all the other hunters just to get a feel for what's going on. Where we leave off is that they're on the plane, Chahae Inn, which I don't think they've mentioned why, but is, you know, she's got the tissue over her nose. So we'll get into that when that time comes. That's just just her character to a T. And they see something in the water, which any thoughts, guys? Any like I know we know what
Is
it
that a
is, but
serious
like
question?
no, I know we know what it is, but I was, you know, and I had theorized that they would potentially be flying, I guess. I don't know what they saw in the water. Like, are the ants going to be swimming in the water?
I mean, I just think it's the ants. I don't. Maybe they have gotten stronger since their last mission.
Yeah, no, I was just curious if you guys thought their adaptations had provided something different than what we had seen in the books.
Well, they have like evolved to like
Because again, like
swim.
I kind of spoiled it last time, but you know, the ants have been on the island for so long that they've become to adapt, and eventually in the manga we'll see them flying. But here, like they're in a chopper and they're just hovering over endless amounts of water. They're just on top in the middle of the ocean and they see something. And I just thought, I know it's going to be ants, but I'm just curious as like how they're transporting these ants on water, you know?
No
Yeah.
comment.
Yeah, I guess same. Important to point out because it does feel like a change,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll just have to find out more information, I guess.
Oh, and the other thing that I wanted to mention is that each of his Song Jin-woo's shadow soldiers will have different ranks. So the weak knights are, I forget what it was, like knight level, and then
I think that
or
was
is that
Igris.
yeah, Igris is knight level. We'll just call them grunts. The many knights are just grunt level. So there will be levels to this shit.
And they actually showed us like their numerical level.
Yeah, so Igris is level 7,
Mm-hmm. And then the rest were one.
one.
Yeah,
But I
just
think
more
he's
of that
level
video
7.
game shit.
Like, do we think though that he's level 7 in being a knight, or do you think being level 7 makes him a knight?
I just don't remember.
think that's
I don't
the
know
latter.
either. You think he's level 7 as a knight?
No, the latter. Like
Oh.
I think that because
they
he's
got the
level
level
7,
7.
he has that title.
Okay. That
You
would
know
make
what I'm
sense. I mean,
saying?
that's how it's usually in video games. I don't think that they would just kind of reset you back to 1 once you get a new rank. Like, I think they would just continue going. But
Oh, you're saying like level 7 knight, and then if he goes to like, I don't know,
he gets
general or
something
something, you'd be
else.
like general level 1.
yeah, exactly.
I don't actually, now that you but I just think it's like because he's level 7, he's knight.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
We can leave
someone
it at
can
that for
correct
now.
us. Someone I'm
Yeah.
sure will correct us in YouTube, Discord, something.
All right. The last thing we can talk about here is just the structure of how they're going to be releasing these seasons. So they kind of announced this within the past week, I want to say maybe 2 weeks. They basically confirmed that season 2 will be releasing later this year. I'm fairly certain it's in June. And if that's the case, that's wild because June just continues to be a jam-packed month of TV entertainment. So that'll be interesting to see how we cover that. But how it's supposed to be is that, like I said, season 2 will release later this year. And then how they've been saying is it'll be 6 seasons. So again, we just finished season 1, which was 12 episodes. And then season 2 is going to release later this year and also be 12 episodes. But one thing we saw is this person online just call it 3 cours, like a French word, COURS. And I think that just literally means
He
Like-
said 6 cores, I thought.
6 cours.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
People are arguing, basically, at the end of the day, people
Yeah,
are
I don't
arguing
know
if
what
it's going to
the
be
heck that
6 seasons or 3 seasons, but it's not going to matter because it's all going to end up at the same number of episodes. Like each, I don't know how to say this. The total number of episodes by the end of Solo Leveling anime, let's say if it's 100 episodes, that will always, no matter what, whether it's 3 or 6 seasons, we'll get those 100 episodes, is what I'm trying to say. So
I was actually we were kind of on the money. Apparently a core, COUR, is a 3-month unit of television broadcasting. 13 weeks.
interesting.
Corresponding
I've
to one of
literally
the
never
4
heard of that.
seasons. And then it just says, what is a core in Japan? A measurement of length of a television series. A one season series of generally 13 weekly episodes is described as being one core. I don't know if you pronounce the S or not.
No.
Long, while a 2-season series of generally 26 episodes would be described as 2 cores. Core. That's funny though because season 1 of like a lot of animes is 26 episodes or 24 episodes,
Right.
which I guess would mean 2 core. But if he's saying 6 core or whatever he said, sounds like it's gonna be 3 24 season episodes, maybe like part 1, part 2 each. Because I wonder if it's coming out in June, can you call it season 2?
That's going to be the
we're
thing.
getting
This
all
is
into that Attack on Titan of
Yeah, I
season
was just gonna
4,
say
part
that.
1.
Yeah, that's
Style
stupid.
too.
If anything,
like-
this to me feels more like Demon Slayer. Like Demon Slayer doesn't have seasons. Like they're just the
arc, which I actually like that a lot.
I didn't at
Yeah.
first, but I've been coming around to it because
Yeah.
I before Demon Slayer was always like, okay, give me my 24 one season episodes, but Demon Slayer broke it up differently, and I didn't like it at first. I was like, just give me all the content, but I think it's perfect, honestly, how they.
I wish I had more episodes, but I do like that when you talk to somebody, you're like, "Did you watch Mugen Train?"
Yeah,
It's like Mugen
Yeah.
Train is you
'Cause
can go to
everyone knows,
Netflix and
yeah.
you can fucking go to Mugen Train.
and it's like, oh, did you watch season 2? And it's like, oh, what's season 2
Yeah,
again?
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
And then because when you talk about seasons with Attack on Titan, it's like
season 4 gets a
so
little
dumb.
dicey.
It's so discombobulated.
Yeah, season 4 of Attack on Titan is completely different than anything else in the world because it was like 3 different parts and then the final parts were 2 different movies. I don't really get it even still.
It's funny too that you say that the core is 13 weeks, so it seems like it was built it like we were like we don't need a recap episode, but it seems like it was just kind of
It's like built
into
in
to the
Mhm.
process. So it seems like we'll get one of them maybe every season, which is just funny. I wonder if they'll continue to be the most downvoted videos on Crunchyroll, or maybe people will be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, these are
we understand a little bit
yeah,
now why we have
yeah,
to have these.
yeah." That's funny. Hey, learn something new. I'm glad that we know that now. That's interesting.
But yeah, so if my math is correct, 24 times 3, at the end of the day, there will be 72 episodes of solo leveling.
That seems very solid for 170 chapters or whatever it is.
I completely agree. And I think something that Kyle or one of you had mentioned in our chat too was that at the pace that we're at right now, we should only technically have 4 seasons versus the 6 that they're planning or whatever.
Because we're at like 40-ish chapters for a season.
Right. And so this kind of goes into what we've been talking about on this podcast about the extra content that they're going to be providing us. I hope it's not like too diluted. The ending of this anime does get pretty confusing, and I would like them to spend more time, especially towards the ending, on clarifying some of these plot points that are occurring and clarifying certain actions and characters and their roles in the world. I think that would be beneficial. Again, I like the Eugen construction stuff, but I hope
I don't give a shit about that shit.
I like that stuff more than like other people's stuff though. Like I don't care. Like the fact that we even got Juhi this episode was like she's already like she's already in the
She's
past.
a thing of the past, bro.
Yeah.
I agree with you. If they're gonna drag shit out, it must be on the ending.
Or just emphasizing fights that we never got in the
like it better
manga.
be, because honestly, that's the most. It was tricky reading it. I think it had to do with translations, probably. I also think that the webtoon itself did not dive deep enough into some of the things. I think that was part translation, part light novel adaptation. This anime has the opportunity to clear these things up, and that's something I'm very eager for.
Yeah, and I don't even necessarily think it's like dragging things out. It makes sense, at least to me, that as you get farther, you would get slower.
Yeah, look at One
Things
Piece.
become more complex. You would like I said, we're 40 chapters a season now. Maybe we get 20 chapters in like the last season type of deal because there's just so much going on.
Maybe they'll make the fights long, and I'm cool with that.
I'm way cool with that.
Yeah, let's get into our spoiler talk. There's, I guess, maybe a couple things that I personally want to bring up, but for everyone that is strictly show watching, we really appreciate your time here today. We're not going to just send you out on a harsh note.
Season.
We love you guys. Yeah, we've loved covering this whole season with all you new watchers. Obviously, this is a show that you can clearly see that we're all very passionate about, and we've been very happy with how it's been adapted so far this way through 12 episodes. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. You obviously will be alerted and known of when we are going to be covering season 2 or core 2, whatever you want to refer to it as.
I wonder how many people by the time the next season comes out will have already read.
That's what I was wondering the same thing.
You could easily put this away in a week or two.
That was going to be a question I wanted to ask too. Just thinking of how many people couldn't even wait for the finale. Like how many people got to I know Kyrie was one.
Yeah, when I go back and read the chapters, you see some new comments. It's like I literally started because the anime just came out and I needed to know everything that happens.
Where do you read?
See people. I forget the name.
The one that
like
I
a
read,
website.
If you just do most of the time, if you just do like read dash and then the manga, like that
I do that
website
for
will comes up. Like
One
One Piece does read One Piece. Yeah, I think there's a read solo leveling one.
I still use the app, the Manga Man app.
I wish I had.
I don't know why or how I'm so blessed to have that on my phone still, but it's fantastic. Every chapter of any manga I read has comments. Some are recent, and I think it's really funny. It's just like I got some other dude and who knows where, like we're on the same page together. It's funny.
Yeah.
That is funny.
All right. So thanks again to all of our show watchers. We are now going to enter the spoiler-filled portion of our conversation. 3, 2, 1. let's kick it off. I guess the first thing that I want to talk about is just if he says no, like obviously the original Shadow Monarch set this all up. Like he was the one that created the knights and the mages so that they would appear to be like people from his past. Like this was all a culmination, I think, of the Shadow Monarch and
The architect.
the architect, correct? And
Definitely.
you think still that, okay, maybe not in the moment that he was actually about to lose, but like let's say he goes 1 minute. So he lasted 5 minutes before getting teleported to whatever place, the penalty zone. If he lasts 1 minute, no matter what, we're all on the page that he's going to get necromancer. Like it does not matter.
I'm on that page, yes. He just would get way less enhancement points, so he wouldn't have become the Shadow Monarch right there. He would have had to work.
Yeah, he would have had to level it up.
Yeah, but I don't think that like I think he could have died to Igris, but I think once he defeated Igris, he got into this job change thing was not actually something that could end in death.
Okay.
I think that regardless of all that, even if he did hit no twice, he would have had the opportunity to get a job change again later, and the system/architect would have been like, "Do you want to be a necromancer?" And at that point, he would probably have been like, "Seems like I should be a necromancer," and accepted it.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood. I agree that there's no way he could have been anything else besides a necromancer.
He mention that he would have had the ability to change, like he can change it later. Like I forget in that whole monologue of when he first declines it and it asks him, "Are you sure?" I feel like he thinks about it and he says something along the lines of like, if I really wanted to change, I could, but I can't really totally remember.
Even if he did, that feels very unreliable narrator. Like he doesn't actually know that that's true. He's just assuming that. I feel like once he became like the point is for him to become the Shadow Monarch to replace the old one. So like he doesn't really have a choice in some of these things. He can choose obviously what he levels up, skill points, and how he like maybe goes to like the demon castle dungeon thing and that kind of stuff. But there's certain things that he literally can't avoid or say no to. And this was obviously one of them.
The other thing.
I hope I don't turn people off when I'm talking about how the shit got like really confusing at the end. It's not that it was confusing. It just like it was. I understood, but the details were just. I felt like they weren't fleshed out.
Yeah, some minor things were just.
And like when I say I want the anime to drag. I don't mean drag. I meant the word dissect. Like I want this shit to be clear to the watchers on exactly its importance.
Like I get the whole big picture ending that it was always destined that it was going to be him versus the Destruction Monarch, the dragon guy, the Dragon King, whatever. But the whole portion of like who are the monarchs versus who are the angel looking people.
Yeah, the lights too.
Yeah, because their names are also similar. So okay, perfect example.
Rulers, rulers
exactly.
and monarchs.
So it's monarchs and rulers, which is like, okay, what's the
and then like wasn't the
there?
Shadow Monarch like a ruler before, but then he defected.
He was originally a ruler.
Yeah,
defected and then joined them and to try and kill the OG god. But then the god ended up being like a good guy, and the Shadow Monarch was like, oh shit, I maybe made the wrong choice. It was so confusing. Like I get the big picture stuff, but just like the background to the rulers and monarchs is just so confusing to me, and I didn't really understand it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Shit, I just had it again. What I wanted to bring up here in this spoiler. Nope, lost it again. I feel like it had something to do with the ants, but I'm losing.
I have something to ask. I think it's a good question. You know how it's like continuing right now, the webtoon? You know how there's like or like there was like at least 15 chapters.
I don't know if it was still ongoing, but I caught up with them. Yeah.
So like a spin-off, like what?
No, it's a literal continuation, and it's like the whole reality in the world is like erased, and like he's the only one on Earth that knows.
Hunters don't exist anymore. Like he's the only one.
Wow.
And like I left off, and he was like looking up Che.
He's literally like 50 years. Oh, okay. Well, he actually doesn't age. He doesn't age, but I'm pretty sure like in one of the later panels that Alkis referring to, like it's him and Cha is like not old, but she's definitely, like in her 40s maybe. And she's definitely well aged, and it's him kind of like just more of a man than he already looks by the end. And he's fighting these beasts from like a different dimension. It's wild.
That feels like Boruto, Naruto stuff.
Well, okay, the most recent chapter on Manga Rock, I should say, not Manga Man, Manga Rock. is from
gotta get that
June
shit shut
1st,
down.
2023. So
I think I caught up then.
I feel like it's probably done then. I wonder if it's actually going to go that far. Do you think it will go that far? Because
I
that's
hope
200
not.
chapters.
Probably.
Dude, at
Well,
the
if
end,
if the anime will go that far.
yes.
I think the anime will only go that far if that's part of the light novel.
Okay.
That's fair.
Um,
I do
that's
remember
my
what I
take.
wanted to ask you, Kyle, personally, because I think I mentioned this to Alki off pod, but
Oh,
something that we hear, like you saying that we're on pace for 4 seasons, but we're getting 6. Things like that came to my mind were like if the chairman versus the ice elf, when it's kind of revealed that the chairman is a fractured light or whatever it's called. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
Like in that scene, we don't see them fight at all. But if they could like tease us a little bit, maybe get the chairman going a little bit versus the ice elf, give us a little actual display of his power in that fight, like that would be cool. I don't care if they don't have to show us the whole fight and him getting his ass
They will
kicked.
100% show us that fight.
I
A little
don't
bit.
know. I hope it's a
There's-
little bit. I just want a little bit.
Yeah, I'm saying that there's totally room to like slow things down.
Because there are
too.
plenty of fights that just kind of get overlooked like that. Like there's another one with Sung Jin Woo's dad. I think when he fights Huang, the brother.
That's supposed to be like that, though. I think like it's literally over in an instant.
Yeah, but like we don't see it really. Like they're matching up and we see their auras emanating. That's again just something that I feel like if they just
Oh,
want to give us,
coming.
little teases of
It's
these
coming.
characters that we never actually got to see fight, but
Dude, you just Sung Jin Woo's dad.
yeah, I know,
Like,
right?
holy shit, we're about to get into that, bro.
Yeah, Thomas Andre. Hopefully, we get to see.
Yeah,
next
that's your
to
boy,
goat.
Kyle.
Is he gonna come in next season? I was trying to in my head
we'll
piece
maybe
together
see
where we're
him.
gonna
No,
get.
because don't they like have the whole council about the strongest, and they got to bring the guy from China, and then
That's
when they go to
late.
when they go to Jeju Island.
That'll probably
Yeah,
be. I'm feeling. I
that's
feel like
late,
Jeju
though.
Island must be season 3. I feel like that's gonna be it.
Damn, they're
Like,
really
they're not
planting
gonna-
some seeds.
I don't think they're gonna be dropping into Jeju Island next season.
So the next thing is the Red Gate.
Red Gate, and he's got to get his rank. I guess then we're gonna get international. That'll be interesting to see how they handle that with still not having given us our exact location in the
He's
world.
gonna fight. He's gonna fight that guy, right? The S rank guy is after him.
Yeah, like that's all got to happen. I'm pretty sure
Again, that
before.
happens late.
Is that
though.
late? Is that late too?
I'm pretty sure that happens after Jeju Island.
Your
that
guess
might
is
makes that
better-
might
Because,
make
as good
because
as
at
mine.
that conference they're talking about the big portal stuff,
right.
and he like gives them some info type of deal.
Hmm.
That
The
happens
brother
all
does.
After, yeah, no, Sung does. Sung's
Oh.
there, and they talk about his dad and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
What
that's
is his
all
rank? He gets
after
double
Jeju.
S, right?
No, I think he's just S. But like, I don't know if
Didn't
they
they like
added-
literally mention though he
They-
could be like double S?
they do mention the concept of double S hunters, and I don't know if we've ever met one in the manga, except for maybe that one. There was a 7-star hunter. I
Thomas
feel like
Andre.
there was
No,
that
the 7-star
Ch-
guy is the
China.
Chinese guy, and he fucking gets worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's 7-star because China has their own system.
Yes, because they have their own system, right?
Okay.
Yeah, they have a different ranking
Classic.
system.
Also,
Yeah,
when does the army go from blue to purple? Like, I do obviously know that they're purple, but I feel like by the end, I vividly remember them being purple.
Why was it blue in the manga in the anime? You felt?
No,
Yeah,
it's
like, we get-
it's right. Like at the very beginning, when he gets his power, like here, like they're blue, but by the
Yeah.
end of the manga, everyone's purple.
yeah.
Like, they're all
when we
change
get
the colors.
Tank, he's blue.
Originally, he's
get-
blue, but by
Yeah,
the
when
end,
we
he's
get- when we
purple.
get the big serpent guy who owes the trident, who can do magic, he's blue. I think.
Oh, you know
initially.
what?
But
It
then, but then
must-
when we fight the giants at the end with that big dungeon break, they're all purple.
It must be when he
So I forget.
goes when he
He
meets
defeats
the
the
architect.
architect?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
that
think
makes
that's
sense.
when it would be them being purple, because then he's kind of fully basically become the Shadow Monarch at that point.
We just like casually discussed like 4 like literally amazing things that are upcoming, and like trying to
Yo.
decide how the order of them happening. Just
I
like,
wonder-
It's
skipping
so
over.
hype. It's just
I
so
wonder how many people actually stick around for this. I hope they do. I just would like to know like
5.
who else. Yeah, but it would be so
Less, 2.
like who else is
We're talking to ourselves.
that was what Binge Town was founded on, us
That's
talking to
actually true.
ourselves.
That's
So,
actually true.
all right. Any final thoughts? We kind of crushed it
My
on that
final thought
spoiler
was
one.
going to be shouting out Thomas Andre, and I already got there, so I'm good.
I think millions are listening.
I wish. I would be a millionaire at that point. So,
No, you wouldn't.
yeah, definitely not. All right. That's going to be it for today's final episode coverage of Solo Leveling. We'll be back with season 2 coverage in June. Again, not
Is
sure
that
how we're going to.
confirmed?
I think it's June. I swear
Oh
to
my
God, I
gosh.
feel it's June or July, but that's crazy that June would be that stacked with television entertainment. But if you like what you heard, give Binge Town TV a follow on all of our socials, X, Insta, YouTube, and all that. Be sure to join our Discord and chat with us about anything that you are currently watching, what your thoughts were on the finale of Solo Leveling. We'd love to hear your guys' hypeness for it as well as us, as well as ours. Lastly, for our podcast catalog, just check out bingetowntv.com. It's going to have a nice organized list of everything that we've ever covered in a nice alphabetical order for you. So be sure to check that out. And if I didn't say it enough, once again, we are Bingetown TV, and thanks for listening.